And welcome to another edition of Mailbag. And like in the previous set of mailbags, I'm recording a single header for many answers that you guys have left on the channel, and there is a lot to go through this evening. So before we get going, remember these are mailbag questions and comments that you guys leave on the channel that are well worth actually sharing with the wider community. But before we start, we always go through parish notices, which are, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? Hit the subscribe icon. If you want to be notified about when videos hit the channel about things like this thing that's just off shop, which is the Isla 2400, that's the bell icon. If you like the contents of the video you're just about to watch, you know what, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the video on the YouTube algorithm. Also, leave comments down below. I do read them, I respond to them, and that's the reason why we're having this mailbag conversation now. And finally, for less than the price of a cup of coffee, consider supporting the channel by becoming a member of the TMTG community. The address is down below, as are the Instagram and Facebook tags where the normal channel notices are posted. But now back to this particular mailbag. Okay, this next one comes from user 333, and it's in response to the unboxing video I did, unboxing the new arrival, the S2400, which is this machine that's sitting in front of me, which is slightly off camera, you won't be able to see it. But it is here. If I must have switched the speakers off. Anyway, user 333 writes, well done on the purchase. I'd be interested to see how you include this in your setup, particularly what the audio inputs might be. Over the years, us armchair viewers have not seen much of your channel regarding a fully functioning studio. You've probably got many devices in storage by the sounds of it. And user 333, you are absolutely correct. I have most of my stuff is in storage. I have a fair amount of gear here at the moment because I'm doing some videos on legacy Roland synths, or I'm trying to do some videos on legacy Roland synths. I've been scuppered on many occasions recently, just purely how tired I am in the evenings when I finish work. But you know, I'm really looking forward to playing this instrument. That's no word of a lie. I really am looking forward to playing this instrument going forward. I just really haven't had time in the last couple of weeks to exploit what I'm doing with it. But integrating it into the studio, as you rightly say, is going to take a while. The divorce pretty much wiped me out, and I think it's going to take a while for me to get back on my feet and re-establish the studio, etc., etc. So therefore, you know, living where I'm living, living in the share house with my flatmates, I have to be mindful of the fact that I don't overtake the place. They're quite good in terms of the workshop because they don't really use it, and of course I've got lots of tools, so that helps as well. So from that perspective, we kind of have a sort of good working equilibrium, but I do have to be mindful of not taking over. Now, one of the things that I found with the studio as it was that it was kind of a horseshoe, if you like, and I had keyboards down two sides, but the only flat surface I had to put the camera was the flat surface that I used where the computer was and where sort of the plugins were and where a lot of the modules were. So consequently, I couldn't film that side of it really easily. I tried on numerous occasions to do it, but I just couldn't get the camera angles to work particularly well, and it wasn't particularly a light place. So you know, one of the problems I had was, you know, I've got sort of lights here and I've got lights here to make this space work, but that was quite a dark area, and I couldn't get lights in there relatively easily to light it up. It wasn't a great space for videoing. That's probably what I'm trying to say. And that's why you tend to have the camera pointing towards the Kronos and the M1, which were normally behind me, and the Jupiter and the Roland D50 were on to one side of me. but you couldn't see all the tone modules and stuff that was in the racks because they were in front of me. But such is life. I mean, that was the space. It wasn't particularly big space. It wasn't particularly expensive either. That was the other thing about it. It wasn't expensive, but it worked for me at the time. In fact, actually, I think the most functional space was when I had it in the lounge of the house. But I found that the problem with that was it was just taking over the lounge of the house, and I didn't have a lounge, so that's why I moved it. But this space here, I mean, this is actually a much better space, I have to be honest. And yes, I do have to share it with the washing machine and tumble dryer because they can't go anywhere else. But the bottom line is, it's much lighter. Even when I'm filming this in the evening, so this is let's say this is 10:30 at night. I'm doing this, but I've got plenty of room. I put a brand new LED strip light in here. Because of the fact that I've been working from here, so we upgraded the light that was in here to an LED strip light. That gives a lot more light than what we originally had. And then I've got these 2 LED portable lights that are in here for when I'm filming, that obviously can be directed around. But in terms of size and light during the day, this has windows this side, windows this side. There's lots of natural light coming in here. So actually, when I do sit down to play during the day, it's actually a much nicer environment to work in. And if I could turn this into more of a studio going forward, then maybe I will. But of course, it all depends on what's happening. I am working on generating more income. You've seen on the videos the fact that I've talked about the TMTG community, and for a couple of dollars a month, people can sponsor the production of the channels, which helps meet the overheads of the channel. So if they're meeting the overheads if people are sponsoring the channel and meeting the overheads of the channel, that means I don't have to meet the overheads of the channel. It puts more money into my pocket. That allows me to re-establish the studio space quicker. I think I'm going to probably need a significant, well, I say significant, probably, I reckon it's going to cost me about $25,000 to do what I want to do in terms of studio space. And it's $25,000 I just don't have at the moment. So that's why it's going to be a while. But, we'll get there, I suppose. The virus in the UK hasn't helped because nobody is working. Everybody's working from home. Lots of people who may have considered sponsoring the channel probably just can't afford to do it, and I completely understand that. It's not the best situation to be in. A lot of musician friends I know who are really having a tough time because they haven't been able to earn a living. Most of them are self-employed. Some of them are employed through their own limited companies purely because they were advised to set up that sort of kind of structure because of the work they were doing. Venues, wanted to deal with limited companies and wanted to deal with proper suppliers, and don't want to deal with the whole sort of PAYE income tax and NIC, which are the sort of the general taxes within the UK. Directly, whereas if you deal with a company, you're dealing with an entity that's one step removed, effectively. So, a lot of people I know who are working that way have really been stymied as part of this crisis because the UK government is kind of protecting employees and it's protecting the self-employed, but it's not protecting the self-employed who work through limited entities. So a lot of people have really struggled with that, and people who are running music shops are struggling to pay rent. They've been pretty much given a rates holiday for the last year, but they still have to pay rent. The landlords still want their money, and they haven't been able to open because they're considered non-essential. So a lot of those sort of places, and I think there's a couple of really sort of great. As you probably know, I live on the south coast of England now, and there's within 20 miles each way, I suppose. along the coast. There's some great little shops, drum shacks, keyboard shacks, electronic shops. They're great drop-in centres for musicians, and I think a lot of them are going to struggle to come back on stream following this, if they can manage to come back on stream at all. Anyway, as I said, basically it's going to take a while. Anybody out there who fancies sponsoring the channel, Patreon, blindness plug, please do so. It's always welcome. But the bottom line is, I don't do this for the money. This channel, I've said this this evening once already on answering other mailbag questions. It's not set up to make money, but if I could cover the overheads of running the channel, then you know what, that would really help.